Hi, Bladder Ninjas. This is Dr. Nigel Brayer. Thanks for joining us today. So I want to recap a tiny bit. We talked about the three main causes of stress. We talked about physical stress, which we're going to talk about today. We talked about nutritional, chemical, hormonal stress, and we've talked about mental and emotional stress. So today what I want to branch out onto is a little bit of what's called physical stress. Now you can imagine if you had to walk up a steep hill, that physical endurance is going to create a lot of strain on your body. You're going to use more energy. The muscles are going to be working, the neurological systems are going to be functioning, and of course, your general metabolism is going to be affected. If you're out of shape, if you're in shape, all that physical strain is going to affect how easily or difficultly you have to get up that mountain. I want you to take that inside a little bit. Now, imagine all the inner workings of your body. Those inner workings all interplay. So if you remember how our body works, we've got the brain, we've got the spinal cord, and we've got all the spinal nerves that exit the spine. And every one of those nerves has a very key function. First, it has to run it, then it has to give the brain information again. So we have two different types of nerves. We have what's called efferent, that means it sends information out from the brain through the spinal cord, and we have what's called afferent, things that go from the systems all the way through the spinal cord up into the brain. Now think about that for a moment, that all that intricate communication has to be flawless for the organ systems to work correctly. So let's take a little deeper look now. How could that influence your bladder? So your brain, your spinal cord, your nerves run out to the bladder, the balloon itself that contains the urine, as well as the ureter that goes out. So you have nerves that are controlling the sphincter. You have knurling muscle that are controlling the bladder. You have the mental and emotional effectors that affect that bladder. Now let's think about it from a purely physical standpoint. What do you have in the pelvis itself? You've got a big bowl, okay? And in that bowl sits the bladder. Now, what's in that bowl besides just the bladder? Well, ladies, you have the uterus, you have the ovaries, you have your colon, you have your bladder or your bowel, you have your stomach. All of those organ systems are sitting on top. So you've got physical things that are physically affecting that bladder all the time. So one of the key components to managing the three types of stress is we have to think about the pelvis as a physical entity, that if we don't gain strength or improve strength in spite of loss from everything from diabetes, surgeries, pregnancy, hormonal changes. So I want you to think of that bladder as a big muscle. If we don't have strength in our body, how are we going to support that pelvic bowl? If I don't have strength in my body, how am I going to hike up a mountain? How am I going to go to work? How am I going to walk up the stairs? So I want you to think about your bladder as any other controlled muscle in your body, is that strength has to be restored. Part of being a bladder ninja is going to be retraining and consistently rebuilding that entire pelvic bowl so that bladder can start to function.